You make it look so easy. And
May I have your attention, please?
Just to be loved. Let's fly away from here. Need a vacation. Blast off tonight from Malibu. Wake up in Shangri-La with no reservations. Real life can wait on me and you. I wanna run away. I wanna run away. Run away forever. Run away with me. We'll escape reality. Run away forever. Run away with me. We'll escape reality.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day of our annual conference. Our managing director has already apologized for the change in the arrangement. We're sorry because there is some shifting and preparations for the gala night, and because of that, the podium has changed. The screen has changed, so please manage. So for the first presentation of the day, we will begin with some words on greenhouse gas emissions and CII by the head of our Unit 5, Mr. Sumit Lal, who is an accomplished marine engineer himself. Sir, if you could please take the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Takahashi-san, Sato-san, Renwada-san, Kono-san, Sasai-san, Mr. Sean, Ms. Martha, Hisamoto-san, Vinay sir. It's good to see a huge number of our sea staff, seafarers, which are our lifeline, turned out on day 1 and day 2, and make this cruise seminar memorable for all of us. As Mr. Arko said, that my name is Sumit Lal. I am heading Technical Unit 5. And if you can see, I'll be speaking on the topic GHG reduction requirement in shipping industry. It's a good question. Why actually we all are concentrating a lot in GHG? What exactly is a GHG? Can anyone tell me what is the GHG you can relate to? Yeah, very good. I heard someone say greenhouse gas. How it is affecting us? I mean, we all know, but it will be good if people tell me and then we can interact and go ahead. Because otherwise, if I just share the regulations, then it will be quite boring because nobody wants to learn the regulation like that. I think most of the engineers will be affected by this. Anyone can tell me why we want GHG to be reduced? Yeah, very good. Global warming. And as we all know, the main culprit are we humans. For let's say not so much time, but for last 150 to 200 years, we were just using the fossil fuel for our own needs, for the transportation, for the energy, for the heat, electricity, without realizing what will be the future and the impact we are seeing on us: respiratory diseases, melting of glaciers, floods, forest fires, the list is so on. So, as a shipping industry, IMO has taken some pledge. But today, by the end of my presentation, I would like all of us to take a small pledge to make our future more greener and to give our future generation a healthier life because it will be affecting them. So, if you can see, 2018, IMO has started a strategy on GHG reduction. So, the IMO vision remains committed to reduce the GHG, and it become an urgent phase for them. So, their ambition is to review the EEDI with the aim to strengthen the requirements and reduce the carbon intensity, that is basically CO2 emission per transport, by 40% in 2030 and by 70% in 2050, which was as compared to 2008. Total GHG emission from shipping by at least 50% in 2050, which was compared to 2008. So this actually is a huge pledge. I mean, it's not easy. We all are used to our lifestyle, our way of uh, using the natural resources without realizing what is impacting us. So for that, IMO has come up with regulations which will be imposed in 2023. So I will go through MEPC 76, which GHG at a glance. So the adopted regulation taken by IMO is EEDI. So what exactly you understand with EEDI? Can you give the mic because somebody wants to speak, so it will be good that you need to use pencil. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Energy Efficiency Design Index. That is to promote less emission and pollution.
Yeah, that's correct. So the regulation will enter from 1st November 2022 and it will be effective from 1st January 2023. And the adopted guidelines are EEXI and CII. EEXI. What do you mean by EEXI? It's similar to EDI, but this is for existing ships. So the guideline says the EEXI will be calculated once in lifetime. It will be based on the standard reference condition, which will vary on the type of the vessel, the distance travel, dead weight. So there are guidelines given for each type of vessel. The study by major classification society shows that the majority of the ships need to do the EPL, which is engine power limitation, to comply with EEXI. So EEXI, the requirements are the attained EEXI to be calculated for the ships which is over 400 GT. Attained EEXI should be less than equal to required EEXI for the ship above segment specific size thresholds. Requirements similar to EEDI phase 2 by 3 with some relief for the few type of ships. Operator has to decide how they can comply. So options are maybe engine power limitation, fuel changeover, energy saving devices, retrofitting, and so on. On the first annual intermediate or renewal IAPP survey or the initial IEE survey on or after January 2020, 1st January 2023, this will be implemented. So in short, if you see what we have to do for the survey and the certification, we need to make one EEXI calculation and sorry. For the survey and certification, which is very important, so we need to do following. First is ship owner or ship company need to make a EEXI calculation and technical file. Then this file need to be verified. And then on the first annual or the new IECC issue date, this need to be endorsed and the new certificate need to be provided. So this is a general guideline which has been given to all the ship owners, ship manager, and the shipping fraternity. If you can see, this will give you more elaborated option. There is a vessel. If it is complying with the required EEXI, you get the approval certificate directly. If it is not complying as per your calculation, you need to do engine power limitation, soft power limitation, energy efficiency device, hull optimization, replacement of new ships, whatever is applicable to you. And then you are complying with the required EEXI, so you will be issued with the certificate, which is required from 2023. Engine power limitation, since this will be the most common as per the study. So you can see what is being done. Presently, we have two types of engine mostly in the market. One is MC type and one is ME type, electronic type. So for the MC types, which is mostly tier 1 type engine, for the EPL, you have to adjust the fuel index limiter and then you have to lock it. The advantage of EPL is that it can be installed in short time at a port without updating engine IAPP certificate or the NOx technical file. In case of adverse weather or some condition where you need the maximum speed, you can override the limit. So that facility is available when we are going for the EPL. So this is, if you can see on the screen, this is how it will be done for MC engine most of the time. So they will put a lock and then it will be sealed. So this has to be done by the maker and class has to witness it. If it's a electronic engine, then it is much more easier. So the benefit with the electronic engine is this can be done remotely, then the class can attend and issue the certificate, whereas the maker physical presence is not required. ESD. Anybody knows what is ESD? Anyone? Okay. ESD is basically energy saving devices. You must have heard there's a lot of terms like advanced PVCF, uh, ecostator, then Mavis duct. So these all actually help you on the reduction. So the study says that ESD is a very good tool when you are complying for the CII. But for the EPL, ESD is not so effective because the EXI improvement is maximum 1 to 3%. And when we are talking about the old engine, tier 1 engines, the reduction is somewhere around 30 to 35%. So ESD will not be such helpful for them. Any questions till now? I mean, any thing you want to know more about ESD or EPL? Anyone? Okay, then I move forward. Okay, again, this EXI complete process you can see. There is a step. You calculate the EXI, you attain, you make a technical file, get a survey, get the certificate. If your EXI is not attained, then you have the mitigation actions, EPL or ESDs or hull, whatever is selected. Power reduction, then you get the approval, survey, everything is done, then the same. So another thing is CII. As you can see, CII is basically carbon intensity indicator. What is actually CII? It is actually the operational measure to reduce CO2. Cargo vessel, RoRo, cruise ships above 5,000 GT need to comply. Based on the fuel consumption which is reported in DCS. As you all are aware that DCS is in force and every company is complying with it. So CII will be completely based on your DCS reporting. This will be calculated annually starting from 2023. CII will be given from rating A to E, whereas C is minimum compliance. If annual CII rating is E or 3 times D, then owner need to develop and implement an approved corrective plan as part of SIMP. And then every year you will be issued with a compliance certificate for SIMP 3, I mean CII. This chart is quite clear. CII is basically your annual fuel consumption multiplied by the CO2 factors and divided by the annual distance traveled and the capacity of the vessel. and multiply by the correction factors. So this is a new thing, correction factors. If I will move to the next slide for the correction. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Does everybody understand this slide? Does everyone understand what does that mean? So, for example, if you have a vessel that is at an anchorage, then what happens? Sorry?
Switch off the light, he's saying.
Good, thank you. Not working. Working, can you hear me? Is it okay? No. Neo. Neo. Sorry. Okay, I will not take. I will not wait for mine. You understand this chart? This is annual fuel consumption or the annual fuel consumption divided by the total distance traveled. Now imagine that your vessel is at an anchorage for a long period of time. What would then happen? Calculation would be, what happens to the CII? High. CII would continue to rise. Your generator consumptions, your all other consumptions would continue to amount. But because you're not traveling, you would have a huge CII. So, of course, please understand, I have no answer for this. I do not have an answer because even the IMO does not have an answer for it now. Yes, absolutely. Number one, there is still regulations are being formulated as we speak. So I would please understand that there is no answer for these questions. When we say we report, how to report, what to report, lot of gray area is there. But so please keep yourself updated. The knowledge that we are sharing today or Sumit is sharing today is probably the knowledge of today. Would we be able to manage our vessels in 2024 or 2025 basis this knowledge? Maybe no. And this is where I was yesterday, that we would need to chalk our path as we move along. Okay, we have to move with handheld soundings. Okay, there is no chart. Okay, just to make you understand, but what would happen with, just to let you know, with this present scenario, if your vessel is an anchorage for a long period of time, you would get a very bad GHG rating next year. And if you get a very bad GHG rating next year, then it would be very hard for the ship owner to find the business next year. You would be at another anchorage for a long period of time because there is no business for you. So the things would spiral. So number one, you have to make sure that the consumptions are reported correctly. Minimum that we do is to consumptions have to be reported correctly, and we have to think out of the box. Find ways and means to keep your consumption low. As Sean rightly mentioned yesterday, and absolutely right, if your vessel is performing well, then you have no problem. Luckily, we have a very modern fleet. We do not have very old vessels. We do not have very challenging times ahead as with the current fleet. But because of lack of proper documentation, because of reporting things that are not correct,
we can have a problem. Okay? Yeah. Sorry, I'm not able to give you more answers than what you, or more clarity, but just to confuse you and to make sure that you find the right answers along with us. Okay? At least get your thinking alive. Okay? All right?
Thank you, sir. Actually, that is something we all are wondering how it's going to be, but let's hope we'll get some answers in coming time. So the correction factor and the voyage adjustments, few guidelines are given. Basis of that, the calculation will be done. Okay, so this is quite interesting. CII will have a business impact beyond regulatory compliance. And why? If you can see, because a lot of banks and financial capital will require the emission data, which will influence their access to the finances. So now the emission data, how you are capturing and how this data is, it's very much a key. So there will be high chances if your CII rating is good, then your business will be better. But if your CII rating is bad, then it will have a commercial impact. Maybe you are not getting a charter hire, or maybe you are in the laid up, because the value is correlated. So attractive CII will attract more business in coming future. Past few years, some of the ports have already started port due reduction basis of your emissions. This will be enforced more from 2023, and as a ship manager and owners, we will also have to focus on that. So this is going to be a challenge as well as a good thing for the future. SIMP 3. What anybody can say? What? Because SIMP 1, SIMP 2, everybody knows. So what is actually SIMP 3? Anyone? There was a lot of conversation going on between us and the vessels that we need to make SIMP 3, we need this data, that data. Uh, Anyone can give any answer or anything about it? Okay. SIMP 3 and CII is very much correlated. Basically, SIMP 3 scope is same. You need to reduce the emission with a plan, like which can vary from hull cleaning to trim optimization, changing of fuel, so on. But this need to be documented and implemented. Earlier, what was there, we make a SIMP, it might not be implemented properly, but there was no penalty or no PSC will say that why this is not done. But now, if in case in your SIMP 3, you have mentioned that you will be doing annual hull cleaning. So this need, it is documented, and whichever class has approved it, so they will give you the certificate basis of that. So if the hull cleaning is not done, and if in case you need to have a waiver, it's fine. If that is not taken, then there is a high chances that it will turn up to a PSC deficiency or a major observation. So now SIM 3 is more of not only documentation, of implementations. So we need to be very much careful when we are choosing for this, because if we commit so many things which we cannot achieve, it's going to come back on us and haunt us. So we have started submitting our plan to for the approvals. When it will be shared with the SIP staff, the approved copy, please go through it. This can be amended. It's not that we cannot amend later also. So, although it has been discussed with the sailing staff who is on board, but if there is something which need to be highlighted and amended, please feel free to tell us. Because this is something which is not only documentation, it has to be implemented. So, we all need to be careful about it.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, here, Orko here. Yeah,
Oh.
this we have this biofouling management. So now SIEM 3, will the biofouling management also be combined into SIEM 3?
Biofouling is mostly on the hull part
Yeah, but that
and your discharge. But the emission, SIMP 3 is mostly related to emission. So if you have optimized that with the hull cleaning, your emission is getting reduced. So it has to be mentioned in biofouling, but it is a part of your SIMP 3. So it has to be verified there also. So basically, you have to have two-way of verification now.
thank you.
Basically, in simply, we mentioned the measures we will be taking to reduce the emissions, and this will be one of the part of that.
Yes, sir, because
Doing this,
hull cleaning, yeah.
yeah, and so this is also part of.
Okay, so next is recommendation to go forward is in 2022, we all were supposed to get an overview of our vessel, decide on EEXI and CII compliance option, develop a technical file and submit for the approval, develop SIM3 and submit for the verification. So this process is already ongoing, and hopefully by mid of November we'll be having most of the approval for the SIM3 at least. In 2023, we have to follow up mostly on SIM3 because it's an ongoing process, and monitor according to DCS and CII requirement with the correction factors for the CII. In UMMS, as we are managing now more than 55 vessels, most of our vessels, as Vinay earlier said, that it's a new fleet. So the EPL is quite less or maybe negligible. But we still have 20 to 30% of the vessel in which we have to do the EPL. We are under discussion with the owners and we have finalized on the EPL, and few of our clients has agreed on ESD also to comply on the future CII requirements. So this is something new for us, although we have done the planning, but when it will be installed and how we will be taking this data and how we'll be submitting it, it will be a new path for us. And we are ready for that challenge because with our team and the expertise, we'll be able to manage it. I would like to share the next slide, which most of our seafarer will be aware of it. You can see. Anybody can say what is this actually? Give the mic, please. Almario, what you are saying, please be loud.
This is about the bunker save. I saw it in the portal before I disembarked when you will reduce non-essential loads such as low boil pump,
Yes.
blowers, especially in cold areas, in which you can save a portion of generator consumption. Yeah.
Yes.
And
So directly meaning that you are controlling emission also, correct?
yes, sir, because in my previous NYK vessels, we are practicing the stopping of low boil rates. That's the bunker
Yes.
save.
Uh, of course, I have not worked with them, so I don't want to comment on that. But this is something we started in 2021. Although the SIM 3, CII, EXI is supposed to come in 2023, but we started this 2021 knowing that we will contribute little bit. No, he said that NYK used to stop one loop while pump one in the port and this thing.
Just to let you know, this checklist or this form that you see here is an adaptation from NYK's initiative. So we do not. I mean, of course, we are young, and NYK is an industry giant. So we have no shame in accepting that this is an adaptation from their initiative. Okay, so just I mean, whatever you have learned from whatever we learn from these industry players, industry giants, we should implement it on our ships. That is the whole idea. Yeah. So totally agreed. Something that we are doing today or doing since last year, as Sumit rightly says, this has been started from last year, but something that we have picked up from the industry. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And follow it, and improve upon it. That is the whole idea.
Thank you, sir. Uh, I will share the next slide, which is actually how this reporting, most of our seafarers are aware of it. And if you, this is, okay, if you can see, this is for the 10 days of anchorage. The effective fuel saving is nearly 17 metric tons, which is a good amount for anyone. Sorry, saved by steam drifting is 7 tons. Sorry. And this is 17 tons on the full month of the anchorage and this. But 6 tons of the fuel is also a very good amount. The whole idea is what we are thinking about the future to be. There is a study that if you walk 1.5 mile, the emission is reduced by 75% if you take a car for that same distance. So just think of it, a small step. You switch off the light when it is not required at home. You switch off the air con. You switch off your gas burner. These are small steps. You do the cycling, or you do the carpool, or take the public transportation. This small step from each of us combined for a year will have a greater effect on our environment. Our future generation deserve to get a good environment. They don't deserve to have a flood. They don't deserve to have a unwanted heat. They don't deserve to have a wildlife fire. So please do a small bit from your side and make this earth more better for everyone. Thank you. Any questions, please?
Please feel free to interact in this on this, please. Uh, does everybody understand what each one of you have to do?
Before we sign up, we had inspection from Japan Coast Guard, and then this was asked from us, and then they asked us what we can do, just a question, And then I told them we can do by switching up, reducing some lights, energy saving, and also about the bio anti-fouling. It was also asked when was the last time, and also all the documentation. If do it by normal routine like this, and when was the last uh, uh, hull cleaning like this. So it all connected, everything from electrical, cargo operation, how do we save, contribute to Earth, like this. So this was also already open before.
Thank you for sharing this. I was not aware that the Coast Guard is already asking for this information. But one thing I must tell you this, that what he was asking today was for you to be aware, to check if you are aware of the requirement, if you are aware of what you are doing. But going forward, it would be a requirement. So what Sumit said just now, I would like to repeat. Whatever you commit in your SEAM 3 would be your commitment as an ISM manager, as a ship manager. All of you would need to abide by that commitment. So if you have written, you as a ship manager have written in your SEAM that you would get your hull cleaned every 6 months, for example, then you have to abide by that. You cannot say, oh, I have just written it here, because that is not what is going to be acceptable. If you say that you are going to put a silicone paint on your hull every time you do a docking, you as a ship manager have to ensure that this is done. You say that you would switch off this pump when you're not in there, you have to do it. If you say that you would stop, I've seen many cases. Of course, there are many examples that where we can reduce energy. But my point is, whatever you guys commit, you have to abide by it. So commit whatever you can abide. Please get involved in SEAM 3 preparation, because all of you have to live by that code. We cannot have one set of code for writing and one set of code for implementation. There is as I say, there are many things that we have to do, but this is one of the critical part today. Critical part today is that we are going into the SEAM 3 preparation. When is the implementation? When is the implementation day?
Sir, from
1st of January.
1st of January.
That is tomorrow or yesterday. In this era that we are living in, or field that we are in, this is yesterday. We have to be involved in the SEAM 3 preparation. It is not cast in stone yet. We can have another set of changes. But what we would like you to do is to say, okay, can I have this my vessel SEAM 3 draft? Can we give our opinion? And then if you say that you would reduce this much percentage, what is the intent? Do you realize, do you guys know what is the final intent of this GHG rating, or this whole arrangement that we are doing? What are we trying to do here? To how much? Huh? It's an interesting question. What is the reduction that we are looking at? Until when? How much? Very good. Who said? Very good. Until when?
0, sir.
Until when? Until 2023.
I'm not sure, sir. 2050.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. 30% till 2030, 50% till 2050.
You said zero. You said zero. Until when?
2050, sir.
Someone just now said, sorry. Samarth just now said 50% by 2050. You don't agree with Samarth? Do you agree or not?
Agree, sir.
Then zero until when? Anybody? Zero until when? Sorry?
Yeah, somebody said correctly just now.
No. That is not possible. That probably would never happen. As soon as possible is not possible, because then it would never happen. We might reach the end of the world. Anybody? When do we have to so 30% until 2030, and then what is the horizon? Next horizon
2050.
2050. What is it? What is it that we need to achieve? Okay, so just to let you know, I no. So honestly speaking, the horizon is not yet clear. This would be cleared soon. So there is one set of people who want it to be zero by 2050. There's one set of people who want zero by 2100. Okay, so we have some time. At least, yeah, probably not in my lifetime, but but so the horizon is unclear. But what we have to minimum would be 50% by 2050. Sorry? Very good question. LNG, if you know the formula of LNG also has some carbon. So we cannot be carbon neutral with LNG. And then we have to look at greener fuel. Hydrogen could be one of the fuels. But creating green hydrogen is not so easy. Green hydrogen. Does anybody understand green hydrogen? What do you mean by green hydrogen? Green hydrogen. Anybody? Sorry, I would like to take some time here because I would like you to be little bit thinking. No, when you prepare hydrogen, if you are using fossil fuel or if you are using carbon to prepare hydrogen, then that is not green hydrogen. You need to use renewable energy to prepare hydrogen, and then when you use this hydrogen, then that is green hydrogen. Okay? Ammonia is one fuel, but ammonia also finally comes to hydrogen. But understand, all these fuels that are prepared by using carbon as a component or as a thing, then it does not become carbon neutral. Okay, so there are a lot of talks about, also I do not know how many of you know about the carbon tax or carbon uh, stock exchange. So for every ton of carbon that you emit, owner would need to pay from 2025 a certain amount of carbon credit. Okay, so you cannot just continue forever. So there is a certain amount of carbon that would be available for the world, and that would be sold as a stock, and you need to buy that because somebody out there is putting trees on the other side to make this whole world functional. So lots and lots of things are going on. Some things that we know, some things that we don't even know. But first and foremost, we need to understand the requirements, what is known today. Then we have to find a way to follow it. Number two, then implement it and follow it. Number three, owner has to do his bit. I do not know how much money we need to do. Presently, the carbon is selling at about $100 a ton. That carbon credit is being sold at about $100. That's the value of every ton of carbon that you emit, not the fuel, the carbon. Okay, so there are many ways and many things that we are doing. Uh, we hope that we can start to share. I think we'll start to share from the global perspective. We would start to send out in. I was thinking yesterday, we are having this Beats magazine, and in this magazine, what we would do is from this month onwards or from next month onwards, we will have a certain environmental compliance page where we will share with you what's happening outside in the outside world. For all of, not some of you, all of you to be involved in this process. This is, as I say, if VLSO4 was a jumping rabbit, this is truly an elephant in this room. We do not know how to handle it. At this point of time, no one knows how to handle it. And I'm also sure that the way this industry works, the way this industry has operated, and the dynamics that is involved here and the way we have handled these dynamisms in the past, we will be able to do it. But we need to be together in it and we need to be focused. Okay? Yeah, again, sorry to confuse you more. But I do not have all the answers. I sit in a few committees, DNV committees and NK committee and other committees, and we keep asking these questions that we are not even able to find answers on the IMO level. Sorry? Yes, please. 2050. Yes, but this, you see, don't believe everything that is written here, because MEPC meets every 6 months or 1 year now. They keep meeting every time. So they are also reviewing their stance. So there is, as I say, there is one stance that is 50% by 2050, and if you read further down, it will be 100% reduction or zero carbon emission by 2100. But there is one set of people, even in IMO MEPC, they want the reduction of 100% by 2050. 100% by 2050. So things are changing very quickly. As I say, I do not know who has written it, but in his own right, he has written it correctly. But no one knows. Still very gray. Sorry? Crazy changes. Crazy changes. But honestly speaking, I'll just share this information with you. Do you know how much carbon the shipping is today? Shipping is, what percentage of carbon shipping is pumping into the world when it comes to percentage as compared to the whole world industry? Any guesses how much percentage would that be? Okay, he says 10 to 20. Yes, sir. Anybody has a better answer than this? Sorry? Any number? 30. We have a 30.
70.
It's lesser than 10%. Maybe less than 10% of the shipping.
Now less than 10%. Better guess? Sorry? So I think, no, I would not waste my time, waste your time. It's too far. Less than 3%.
Yeah, that's correct.
Less than 3%. Digitalization, internet, or the use of internet globally is at 1.6%, growing very quickly. When you use internet, the way we are using internet, we are at 1.6%. Shipping about 2.7, 2.8%. And the whole world still wants us to reduce that to zero. But never mind, we have to abide by that. I'm not trying to question that, because everyone is asked to come to zero. It's not only us. Even the ones that are pumping in 60, 50, 40, they're also asked to come down to zero. So it is not being unfair. It is not an unfair demand. It is not that others can continue to pump and we are asked to reduce it down to zero. It is a thing that is a joint exercise. Okay, so don't look at that number. But my point is that it's not so bad. We should not be seen as criminals. Okay, we are not criminals. We are not the ones. If someone asks you, we are not the ones who are going to bring the world to a doomsday. Okay, yeah, some solace, I believe. Okay, thanks.
I just want to highlight one or two points which directly affect us at the moment with regards to CII. So we are with DNV at the moment. Our verifier is DNV for your information. So every day you fill up the data on the noon reports, the fuel consumption, the distance traveled. That is being captured now on a daily basis. Okay, it will be automatically going directly. It is very important that that data comes in very accurately. Any mistakes and we'll have the spike in the curve. Okay, these are being converted into performance, our emission performances on the portal. Okay, and we are updating it very frequently. What we can do, at the moment, because we are not installing any, we are not retrofitting any rotor sails at the moment. We are not using any ammonia or LNG. That's alternative solutions. What we can do at the moment, we can make our engines efficient, make sure they are consuming and performing to the max. We can optimize our voyages. What route, weather routing. We don't burn extra fuel. If the weather is bad, don't push your engines unnecessarily. You know, if you are pushing your engine on a bad weather, not achieving any speed and still burning fuel, you are unnecessarily raising that curve. So we have to be smart on a daily basis right now. Okay, situational awareness is what is required now. Proactiveness is required now. Okay, and then trim optimization is one thing. We have to see at what trims we are getting best speed and if that is helpful. So how much ballast, all those things which are in our hands at the moment, that are being explored, and any way by which can reduce our fuel consumptions, reducing power consumers. That's what we are already doing. So these are the things, and reporting is very important. What we are consuming, we should not be, you know, showing too much, because that is now going to affect our ratings. And these ratings are reducing our requirements. CII is reducing, our requirements are reducing on a yearly basis. So we might be doing okay. There are A, B, C, D, E zones. We might be in a B or a C zone, green zone. But next year, the targets will increase. That means we need to do more than what we are already doing. We need to improve. So every year, the targets are increasing, and we it won't the these we'll have to do something else. This will not be enough. Maybe we are okay for the next 2 years, but probably in the third year we might go into the D or E zone, and where we there though then it becomes a problem commercially. So it's a long term planning, and it's a systematic way of, continuously reducing our emissions. So now we have to be very sure of what we are doing. We have to have evidence, and we have to do it positively. So now, just to clarify, so what reporting you are doing is, be very careful with how much you are showing, how much is accurate, analyze what you can do to reduce it. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Finally, thank you all to turn up and make this event a memorable for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sumit sir, for a very informative presentation, which sets our path for the future. Yeah, I would also like to congratulate everyone for turning up and again giving us a full house on day 2. That's a very commendable effort, especially from the people who are coming away, and they don't stay in Manila, they're coming from the provinces. Thank you all. For our next part of the presentation, PhilCamSat. PhilCamSat is a stalwart in maritime training, and having completed 40 years in training, they have been at the forefront of cutting edge technology and innovations, which they have brought into maritime training. They are building the Filipino seafarers for the future, whom they call global marine professionals. They have a sprawling campus in Makati and also a huge facility, 4-hectare facility in Cavite. So I would now invite Mr. Joey Abangona, Chief Engineer, and he's at the forefront of the training activities and the innovations in PhilCamSat. Sir, please take the stage.
Thank you, Captain Arga, for that very energetic introduction. Good morning, everyone. Everyone seems to be alive and well, and everyone seems to be excited. I hope so. Let me just open up my file and test if it's working. All right. This is a very nice place you invited me into. And there are very, very few companies who are generous enough to provide this type of experience to their seafarers. I myself am a seafarer. I'm a chief engineer who used to sail on oil chemical tankers. I was a seafarer under PTC for the last 10 years before I transitioned to my new role as the Competency Development Manager for PhilCamSat. As some of you may already know, PhilCamSat is the training arm for the PTC group of companies, which is Jebsen PTC is a member of. Our goal, our mission, is to transform seafarers like you, like me, to become global maritime professionals. This is our objective, and this is how we operate, how the guideline that we follow. So for today, I was asked to discuss something very important, something that we all encounter every day on board. How do we manage onboard behavior? It's a very important topic. And one aspect of our job that I never really thought of considering when I was a operational engineer, not until I became management did I realize that it is a difficult task to manage onboard behavior, especially if your crew are multinational, belonging to different culture, different background. Everyone seems to have their own mindset, mentality of how things should be done. And it is up to us to manage expectations, to lead them, to achieve our objective, and to help everyone get home safely. But sometimes that's very hard to do, especially if you a group of people have different way of thinking. For today, we are going to talk about onboard behavior and how supposed to be, how we can manage it properly. So first things first, let me put you into a mental exercise. I want you to remember a time when you were